and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a dead throat. Allergy season is hitting me hard. I have been meaning to make this video for such a long time. I have a confession to make. I am obsessed with Lord of the Rings. I just am so excited about it, even though I have been obsessed with it for a very long time already. So in this video I wanted to tell you how I got into it and why I like it so much, and also some future plans for this YouTube channel. So let's do that. So I wanted to start with how I fell in love with the series, and I do have a quite interesting story about this. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna sneeze. About a year ago, I did not expect myself to be a fan of Lord of the Rings. I read The Hobbit about a year ago, and I just barely got through it. I didn't really enjoy it. It was kind of one of those books where it's a classic, so you're kind of scared to say that you didn't like it, but I did get through it, and then I waited a few months because I just couldn't take another one. It was just so heavy writing, and at the time I didn't really enjoy that. But then I looked back at my bookshelf and I said, you know what? I am going to just read another one of these books. I'm going to have to read the whole series someday. So I read not the second book, the first book in the trilogy. And again, I just barely got through that one. And I was like, oh my gosh, there is no way that I'm going to finish these two other whole books. There's no way. So I waited a few months again. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get it over with. I'm going to read the last two books and I'm just gonna be done with it. So then I read The Two Towers, and about 2 chapters in, I was hooked. So if you'll remember, if you have read the books, which by the way, read the books, just do it, okay? But if you remember from the second book, in the second chapter, Merry and Pippin are captured by orcs, and I don't know what it is about the main characters or good characters of a book being kidnapped or captured, but something about it hooks me every time. It's just one of those weird things that I love. And after that, I kind of had the motivation to pay attention to what I was actually reading. And then I realized, hey, this is actually a really good series. And I couldn't stop reading it. I think that one of the biggest things for me out of this trilogy is, and that I like to tell people so much, is that you kind of have to just get through the first book. Because the first book is all about the background information and trying to get the plot going. It's more of a prequel than The Hobbit is, really, because it's just filling you in on what's about to happen. And then it's The Two Towers, it's the second book in the trilogy, that the plot actually is in motion and the characters are getting developed now. We actually get to know the characters more. And I think that was the best part, because it was in this book that I fell in love with all of the hobbits. They're still my favorite characters, and their personalities are just fantastic. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I loved this book the first time around. I didn't really follow what was going on with all of the humans or the elves, but I just, whenever a hobbit was on the page, I was just paying full attention, and I loved it so much. So that was this book. And then you have The Return of the King, and at this point I was hooked on the series, and oh my. When I tell you that I didn't want the Lord of the Rings trilogy to end, this book was one of those books where I didn't want it to end, but I couldn't stop reading it. And oh my gosh, it was just so beautiful, and I was so sad when it ended. I am taking no risks. I was so sad when I finished The Return of the King that I didn't read anything for a long time. I tried to read another book. I literally couldn't. So then what did I do? I went back to book 1 and read the whole trilogy again in like a time span of 3 months. Wait, actually, I have proof of this. I'll be right back. When I say proof, I don't mean like proof that I did this, but like I have data of what I did actually do so I can be historically accurate. Okay, I finished The Return of the King in February of 2021. So this is like very recent. I mean, it has been a while and it feels like a long time, but it is a pretty recent love discovery of mine. And then in March, I read The Fellowship of the Ring again. So it wasn't 2 months or whatever I said before, it was only 1 month. And when I read this series again, this is what you need to do, honestly. Like, this is the best way to encounter the series, really. I'm so lucky that it happened this way. Basically, I fell in love with book 2, read book 3, it was awesome. Then I went back to book 1. And at this point, I cared about all of the characters, and I knew what their personalities were, even if it wasn't really clear what their personalities were in this book. I was able to put it in, like add it in for myself because I already knew the characters. I thoroughly enjoyed The Fellowship of the Ring again, and then this second time around, I was actually paying attention to characters outside of the Hobbits. So it added like a whole other dimension to it that I just loved so much. And I think there are lots of really interesting characters in this book series. I think that Boromir was probably the most interesting character for me. That was like that whole backstory of how I fell in love with Lord of the Rings. It was really fun to slowly discover this love for a book series. That doesn't really happen to me very often, but when it does, it is great. I haven't even told you what I thought about the movies yet. I finished the trilogy and I watched the trilogy after that, and the Lord of the Rings movies are literally the best movies of all time. Everything about them is so perfect. It's casted perfectly. The soundtrack is amazing. The writing, don't even get me started about the writing. Like, oh my gosh, why do they not make movies like this anymore? It's movies like that that make me want to be a movie maker. I love the movies, and I want to make a separate video about why I love the movies and also like my favorite parts of the movie. So I will definitely do that. About this YouTube channel, I love Lord of the Rings so much that I don't think it could possibly not be on this channel. I've already made a like short film about a Hobbit's morning routine, if you'd like to watch that. But I definitely think that I'm going to make lots more Lord of the Rings related videos. I already have a few ideas and I'm very excited for them. I just kind of want to geek out. Thank you so much for watching if you have made it this far. I have no idea how much of this I'm going to cut out, but it's probably going to be most of it. But anyway, that is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you soon. Bye!